We hear about the latest and greatest AI models all the time. But today, we're going to talk about the one skill that actually determines whether all this incredible tech creates real-world value or just sits on a server collecting digital dust. And nope, it's not about coding, it's all about translation.
So let's just start with a number that should honestly shock you. Less than 30%. That is the percentage of AI models that actually get used in a business. I mean, think about that for a second. More than 2/3 of all the effort, all the data, all that brain power, it just vanishes before it ever makes a difference. What is going on here?
Well, this quote from Eric Pritchett absolutely nails it. The tech is more than powerful enough. The real problem, the real bottleneck, it isn't the algorithm. It's the huge communication gap between the folks building the models and the leaders running the business. And that's the problem we're going to unpack right now.
Okay, so here's the deal. Companies are sitting on mountains of data, literal gold mines of information. But most of them are failing, and failing badly, at turning that data into actual actions that, save money or make money. This disconnect is probably the single biggest challenge in the world of analytics today.
So what's the solution? Well, it's something the market is starting to call the bilingual mandate. What we need is a totally new kind of professional. We need someone who is fluent in two very different languages. Someone who can be the bridge between two worlds, the technical world of data science and the practical world of business operations. And this, right here, shows you the divide perfectly. On one side, you have the data scientists talking about things like AUC, precision recall, and supervised models. And on the other side, you've got the CEO who only cares about ROI, lost revenue, and customer churn. When these two sides aren't speaking the same language, well, that less than 30% number starts to make a whole lot of sense, doesn't it? The key is being the translator who can connect these two worlds.
All right, so how does this translation actually work in the real world? This is where the rubber really meets the road. Let's break down how you go from these abstract technical metrics to the one language everybody in business speaks and understands, dollars and cents.
Imagine this. A data scientist might be totally pumped that their model can predict something with, say, 73% probability. But if you walk into a boardroom and just say 73% probability, you're going to get nothing but blank stares. A 73% probability of what? A customer leaving? A machine breaking down? And the most important question of all is, what are we supposed to do about it?
So there's actually a roadmap for this. Step 1, you start with your technical metric, like that 73% probability of churn. Step 2, you translate it by asking the right business question, like, okay, which customers are we talking about? Then, step 3, you define a business action, like, what can we actually do to convince them to stay? And finally, step 4, you calculate the financial outcome. If we do this, and it works, how much revenue do we actually save? That 4-step process, that is the core translation skill.
Now here's another huge piece of this translation puzzle. The model doesn't just give you a yes or no, it gives you a probability score for every single customer. So you have to decide where to draw the line. Do you spend your time and money on only the absolute highest risk 5%? Or do you cast a much wider net and go after the top 25%? See, that's not a data science question, that's a business strategy question with very real financial trade-offs.
And you can see that trade-off right here in this chart. Going after just the top 5% is cheaper for sure, but it's also riskier. You might miss a whole bunch of customers who are about to leave but just barely missed your cutoff. Targeting the top 25% costs you more up front, but it dramatically lowers your risk of losing all those customers. A great translator makes this choice crystal clear so the business can make a smart financial decision.
And this skill applies to everything, not just customers. A real translator doesn't just see a statistic like 30% factory downtime on some report. No, they see millions of dollars in lost revenue. They immediately connect that operational pain point directly to the bottom line, and they flag it as a super high-value problem that an AI model needs to solve.
Now, this whole way of thinking has actually been formalized into a really powerful framework by an analytics expert named Eric Siegel. He calls it the BizML mindset, and honestly, it's a fundamental shift in how data professionals have to think about what they do.
This is the absolute core of the idea. It's not about being a tech expert who just happens to work in an office. It's about being a business leader whose most powerful tool is data science. Your goal isn't just to build the most accurate model. Your real goal is to create the most business value. It's a total mindset shift.
So, how do you actually do this? By asking yourself 3 questions, constantly. First, what exactly are we predicting here? Get specific. Second, how much money, in real dollars, will this save us or make us? And third,
And this is the one that's so often forgotten. Who in the company needs to actually change what they're doing for this model to have any impact at all? That's the change management piece, and it's absolutely critical.
So let's bring this home. What does all of this mean for you, for your career? Well, it means the very definition of a top-tier analytics professional has fundamentally changed. Let's talk about what really gives you an advantage in today's market.
Look, your competitive edge is no longer about knowing the most complicated neural network or the newest algorithm. That kind of tech is becoming a commodity. What makes you valuable, what makes you indispensable, is being that translator in the room, the one person who can bridge that gap and answer the really tough business questions.
This, right here, is the million-dollar question. This is what every executive, every manager, every leader is dying to know. If you can walk into a room and confidently answer this question, you instantly become one of the most valuable people in the entire organization. It combines the financial outcome with the operational reality, the two things that truly matter.
And let's be really clear about the future here. This is not a story about AI replacing people. It's a story about professional evolution. The analysts who learn how to speak this new bilingual language of data and business, they're going to become absolutely essential. But those who just want to stick to the technical side, they risk getting left behind.
So the final takeaway is this. The big winners in this new age of AI are not going to be the people with the most technical certifications. They're going to be the ones who can translate technical power into business profit. So you have to ask yourself, are you preparing to be just the algorithm expert, or are you ready to become the translator?